a fun little tidbit. It's kind of weird because like 2025 has been like a really bad year for like, you know, like a lot of ways, right?
In a lot of ways.
You're not wrong.
But like for me, much better than the last couple of years, like so far.
We bounce back.
Yeah, it's like the bounce back has been crazy, and like I feel bad about it, but also like not that bad because I went through hell last year. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is a little bit of a different episode. As you can tell, Jeff and or Jasper are not here.
We upgraded.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we're reviewing Sinners, the movie, because we can review movies whenever we want. It's not the first time. And we wanted to call in the heavy hitters for this. So we invited old friend, Pat Parker. I forget the name of your podcast. You want to introduce yourself? Tell us like, the name of your podcast?
Okay. My name is Pat Parker, everyone, and I host a podcast called Real Critical, if you guys want to give that a listen.
Yeah, I've been on it. I think I was... What episode was I on for?
It's actually, funny enough, it was for another Ryan Coogler movie. It was for Creed.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because a little bit of backstory about me and Pat. Me and Pat actually met at a screening for Creed.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like he was just literally sitting behind me and my good friend Uwer, and we just linked up after the show, started hanging out on Twitter, started hanging out in real life.
I heard you guys talking about, I think you guys were talking about Aaron Sorkin.
Something like that.
Then,
I thought it was the podcast. Yeah. I thought it was like the AMC movie podcast.
You guys might have been talking about that too.
But whatever
I distinctly remember you correcting me because I said Alan Sorkin, and then you corrected me.
Yeah.
And
that's what I do.
It's fucking history since then, man.
Yeah. So Pat's the reason why we call Purvis's childhood friend White Patrick.
Right. There's an original Patrick and White Patrick.
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
Right. Also, just want to point this out. Anyone else can call him whatever they want. They don't have like,
There's no rules to this.
There's no rules. It's just a compulsion now that I have talked through with White Patrick. So I'm okay. He watches the show, so I wanted to bring that up. Hello, Pat.
I don't think he minds too much.
I don't think he does not seem to mind. That's why I keep doing it. Anyway, so yeah. We're here for a movie review. No news, no nothing. Next week, by the time you see this, Jasper will be in recovery for surgery. Minor surgery, but certainly something that he has to recover from. He can't be on the show. And I'll be out of the country.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. I didn't beat the case, so now I have to do the race.
You will be coming back, though. So
yeah, I will be coming back. I will be back after 5 days. Like I still have like bills and shit. Like, okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that doesn't go away.
But yeah, so we are reviewing a movie.
This is our third? Fourth?
Yeah, I think this is our third movie, and I'm gonna say it right now. First off, second Ryan Coogler movie. And easily the one that is most relevant to the podcast. Because like Black Panther Wakanda Forever was just like a cultural moment. Like we really just wanted to talk about it because we're nerds and we both saw the movie. And then we talked about Air, which like very fun movie, very good movie. You know, a good movie. Yeah. Very good movie, right? Kind of very tangentially related to the podcast. I just was suckered in because I like the idea of like doing a movie review every year or so. And you know, when the second this movie started, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be our movie review for the Unpaid Nobodies this year." Pat, do you want to introduce the movie and the context, seeing as you're our guest here?
Hey, man, the honor.
I feel like, like I
appreciate it.
Purvis is going to be a feature on his own track. This
is totally fine by me. I am a guest on my own show.
Let me see. Obviously, no spoilers. So Sinners.
Oh yeah, we're going to do a non-spoiler section up front. I'm going to mark this all in the below. But
yeah, so
non-spoiler up front, spoiler in the back, and then we're going to do a soundtrack discussion.
Gotcha. All right. So as simple as I can put it, Sinners is a movie about two brothers from Clarksdale, Mississippi, who come back home after being gone for a really long time to open up their own business, and then a fucking vampire shows up.
Yeah.
You know, like, like that's like all you need to know, if you ask me.
My favorite way to describe this movie to people is it's like a more serious but not completely serious From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Like,
I would agree with that.
yeah, man, what a movie.
No, it's fucking fantastic. And
Yeah, I mean, like, just up top,
serious.
like, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, just up top, like, I think it's going to be fair to say that everyone on this podcast loved the movie. I think I think this is really more of a discussion than a review, because I think a grade is pointless.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but yeah, no, this movie is fucking incredible. It
reminded me a lot of Lovecraft Country, actually.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys watched that show.
I've seen like the first 3 episodes. I'm very bad at TV.
It's all good.
I'm very bad at TV.
Can't do it.
Yeah,
but it reminds me.
I can't keep up with it.
Yeah, no, it's. Rachel is like, we're going to watch it, even like with everything that happened to Old Boy. It's like, yeah, it's like, no, we're still going to watch Lovecraft Country one day.
That shit was like a cultural moment. Like,
yeah, no, it was huge.
People, Lovecraft was, oh my god.
Yeah, no, it was huge, and like really relevant. And yeah, I think the comparison to Lovecraft Country to this is very obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So Purvis, as like the layman movie person, I don't know. You're like you're becoming more and more of a movie person. I think now you're probably more of a movie person than the average person, which was not true when we started the podcast.
Oh, absolutely not.
And now I would say you're more of a movie person than the average guy.
Oh yeah, I don't know what it is. Like the media, okay. I'll put it this way: I will easily go watch a movie at any point. If someone's like, "Let's go to a movie theater," you don't have to convince me. I'll just go watch it. But like, it wasn't my
kind of man right there. All right.
Yeah, literally, it's like I'm open to try anything. I'm willing to do anything, but I wouldn't just go to a movie theater myself. I wouldn't go check out like indie movies and do research.
Oh man,
I don't know about the different formats of the film that came out. Like, I understand there's many layers to it, but at least for me, I'm one of the people that was like, oh, I'm gonna go see this movie and I'm gonna walk out and be like, that was amazing.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much my take on it.
Yeah, and that's something I want to like kind of get back to, because like, especially when we get into the spoiler section, I don't know. I don't think there's any actual spoilers in this, but like, like whenever you discuss a movie like this, obviously this is a movie that's like rich in meaning and symbolism, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, and this is a philosophy I have about every movie, but I feel very good because I saw an interview with Ryan Coogler where he says this out loud, and it's like, yes, like everything in the movie is like motivated by meaning, but it's also for the person who just wants to go to a movie on a Saturday night and have like a fulfilling experience. Right.
Oh,
so
he
like
perfectly balances that.
Right. Yeah. I think he perfectly balances that in this movie, but it is like always important to remember, like when you're like looking at a movie critically, that like to keep that in mind, like why certain decisions were made. Right. We'll get to in the spoiler section if we remember, like there's a specific scene that I'm kind of like referring to where I think it totally works, but I think it's kind of operating more like Saturday night movie logic, which I think is fine. But I think it's a dead end if you're looking for symbolism, but
I feel like,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel like we're living proof, like we're a testament to that, because like going into it for me, I didn't even watch the trailer. Like, I didn't know.
Really? I got to be honest with you guys.
I didn't know anything.
I got to be honest. I did see the trailer just because I go to the movies often enough that like if a big movie is coming out, I see the trailer.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I have the bias of like, okay, this is Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. I'm there. I don't really need to see anything else. But I will say the trailer was not special to me.
Yes, I was going to say
it was
same
like
thing.
I was like bought in. The trailer did not make me think it was going to be like a bad movie by any stretch, but like it did not it was not anything special to me, and that absolutely could be my bias because like it's like the equivalent of a Kendrick Lamar album, right? That's like
it's going to be good.
It's like I know it's going to be good. I'm there. You have my ticket. Like this is a creator I want to support, especially if he's making an original movie. So
and this is his first original film too, which is really fantastic.
Fully original. Yeah.
But I was on the same page, dude. Like the trailer came out, and I was like, obviously it's Ryan. I don't give a fuck who's in the movie. I'm fucking there. And yeah, the same way, man. The trailer was just like, okay, like I'm intrigued. And because I remember the first things that came out said that he might be doing a vampire movie, but in that first trailer, there's like nothing about vampires at all.
Yeah.
So I was like, what the fuck is this going to be about? And I was like, okay, I just won't watch the second trailer. And then at some point going to the movies, just like you said, I saw the second trailer. And then that's the one that got me. There was some stuff in there I wish I hadn't seen, but that one got me like a lot, and I was like, I'm fucking there.
Yeah, I mean, totally fair. Like, and you know, yeah, for me, I just like I saw the trailers. I don't know if I saw the second one. I don't know which one I saw. Right, like I knew it was a vampire movie, but that's just like through osmosis on the internet. Purvis, did you have any idea vampires were in this movie?
No, didn't know vampires in the movie. I knew it was a horror movie. And I'm gonna be honest, like
that's an interesting. I think that's an
it
interesting.
is so hard. It is so hard to call this movie a horror movie.
Yeah, right. Like, is this a horror movie? I think there's some horror elements, but like,
yeah,
it's much.
I think maybe Ryan meant horror in a different way.
Yeah,
honestly.
Maybe. I mean, and again, not that I'm a big movie person where I can decipher different subgenres within horror, but like the first five, and I'm not going to say this is a spoiler. It's the first 5 minutes of the movie. Like when it starts off and it's cutting into the scenes where they're in the middle of the song.
Yeah,
I went to go see it with my girlfriend, and I was like, I might be kind of scared. I got to like toughen up.
Yeah,
I can't jump. I can't I don't know how scary this is going to be.
That scene in the beginning hits.
Like,
yeah, I was definitely kind of on that same page. Like, oh shit, this is about to be a real fucking horror film. Like Ryan's not fucking around.
No.
Yeah, then the tone kind of shifts like right after.
Yeah, immediately. That's like, I mean, even because like it never really does feel like a horror movie. It feels like very like a thriller, like because like the villain is such a character. You know what I mean? Like he's not like just a serial killer. He's like a force with like thoughts and everything. But yeah, no. So yeah, I think I'm just trying to keep it non-spoiler, but you know,
everything before we dive too deep into it.
Yeah. And like, what do we think were like some of the just strongest parts of the movie in general? Because like to me, this is just
outside of the obvious, right?
Right.
Yeah,
we're all gonna bring up the scene.
I literally have it in the notes as that scene. Right, which like I think for anyone watching this, it will become real. I think like really cues in why we're talking about this on this podcast.
Yes,
but like I don't know. Like to me, I think this was a very strongly acted movie. I think that. Walking away from it, I think that was my thing I was like super impressed with.
Yeah, everyone's on their A game.
Like there is not a weak link in the bunch. Like Michael B. Jordan, man. Like
he killed it. He needs 2 awards for this.
Yeah,
for both roles.
It is insane. And first off, like it will be insane if he's not taken very seriously for Best Actor. But I lost hope on the Oscars in 2019.
Yeah. Oh, for Stallone, right? No.
That was the beginning. But when they did,
that was the beginning. Yeah.
But when they didn't even nominate Sandler for Uncut Gems, I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" It was Sandler and Lupita Nyong'o for Us. I was like, because like similar, she plays 2 characters. It's just that that is nowhere near as impressive as what Michael B. Jordan does in this movie. Like the beginning,
they don't. The Academy doesn't fuck with horror movies. So
that's true.
Yeah, no, it's just not great. But I do think this movie was like this movie has been like a cultural moment.
Yes.
Right? Like Tom Cruise is on his social media like promoting this movie. Like this is nuts. Like it's kind of funny because I saw this video and it was like, I didn't actually watch it. I just saw the line, like the title. And the title was like, "Oh, Sinners, the movie Hollywood fears." And I'm like, seems like Hollywood's very invested in this movie being a success, actually. Like,
it seems like a lot of people have been promoting it, which I like. And like you said, it's a cultural moment. I don't know. Again, I'm not the biggest movie person, but I feel like there was a lull after COVID, and a lot of people are just like desperately. There's been
a few big movie moments. I think Spider-Man was a big movie moment after COVID.
Yeah, Top Gun Maverick as well.
Yeah. The biggest one though is Barbenheimer.
Oh
yeah. Barbie 100%. And Oppenheimer was like
moment.
Probably was a moment, right? And like I like this movie more than either of those, but like and I think it has the impact.
And I think Sinners has honestly an opportunity to kind of be a little bit bigger than those, just in the conversation that it's an original IP. All of those other things are
original, right? Like,
completely original, and it's something that really came out of nowhere. It's like, you expect a certain level of quality from Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, and the entire cast, but dude, this shit was monumental. Like it only had a 6% drop in its box office.
That is, that's something I wanted to talk about because it's
like fucking unheard of,
right? Like Purvis, for context, 50% drop off is like okay. Like that's not that's not a bad thing. Like
then 6% is insane. That's
that's nuts. Like, you know, like a movie is super strong if it's like 30 or 40% drop. 6% is nuts. That is, you know,
and without a holiday like to boost that at all,
right? Because
you know, like that's
because like Avatar is like the best example of like a movie that like went up, right? Like that movie got more popular for like a few weeks after it came out, but that was like a pre-social media world. That was over a Christmas, New Year's holiday, right? And like that's also James Cameron, who like, you know, big more of a name than Ryan Coogler.
Do you think this is because like because I know we kind of mentioned how it essentially came out of nowhere in terms of like everybody expected it to be good, but this quality is kind of insane.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of narratives that I've heard, especially from my friends, the people that weren't interested, after they heard like everyone going like, "Hey, you need to go see this," that second week is when I heard everyone else was like, "Okay, clearly I need to go see this now."
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's
word
definitely
of mouth is insane.
word of mouth is nuts. You know, word of mouth is the absolute most powerful thing you have, like when you have a movie, right? Like every classic movie you can think of, like got that way through word of mouth, right? Like, you know, that's whether or not they were a success in the box office or not, right? Like, you know, think about things like Fight Club or Dark City that are now like that were like not super big in the moment, but have become cultural touchstones over time. Where, you know, this is like very similar to something like Titanic, where it was like, you know, we are very much aware of the moment that's happening, you know, and yeah, no, it's really nuts to see like an original movie. I'm really happy Coogler got such a big deal, like a good deal from it. Like he has like the Tarantino deal where the rights return to him after 25 years.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
So happy about that shit.
Yeah,
so
right?
happy about it.
And like, you know, this I will say this though, like this movie, as I think it became so good that it just as like a movie nerd who's like tracking like, oh, what is Ryan Coogler gonna do next? Because that's like the big difference between like movies and music is that you know what's coming next for like a lot longer period of time.
Yeah.
Right. And like going from this to like apparently his next project is a reboot of the X-Files, which sounds nuts. Right?
Yeah.
Like a reboot of the X-Files is something that I would maybe roll my eyes at under certain creative teams. Ryan Coogler, absolutely not. Like, what is that going to be? And I feel like, you know, I have almost more questions about that than I did before I saw Sinners.
Because, have you heard him talk about it?
No, I have not. I've been watching a lot of his interviews, and I appreciate the strong silent type kind of director, and I know that's what he's been for a long time. I really appreciate that he's directly engaging with discourse on this movie. Yeah, I think it's been very illuminative.
So he's talked about it a little bit. So he's saying that he wants it to be exactly like how it was, like very like horror based. And he said if the studio allows him to, and he does his job right, like people are going to be legitimately scared when they watch it.
For the X-Files?
And the X-Files. And that has me more than invested. Just that right there.
Yeah, because that's interesting, right? Because, you know, that's a... The X-Files has so much cultural cliche in like a certain very specific genre of like sci-fi UFO kind of shit. And like, you know, to bring in such elements of horror, which like the show has roots in that for sure. But to bring that in, that's interesting. But to bring it back to Sinners, right? I think we can all agree, just like phenomenal, like touchstone of a movie. I can't imagine not recommending this to anyone. I think the only kind of person I would say to avoid this movie is if you have like a strong sensitivity to blood.
Oh yeah.
Right.
There
like,
is a good amount of blood in there towards the end. Yeah.
Like I'm super sensitive to gore. Like I've had to leave very recent movies because of panic attacks because of like the gore on screen. But the blood, this movie did not bother me at all. But yeah, I think outside of that, this movie's incredible.
Yeah, there's no one that I wouldn't recommend this to either. My wife actually hates vampire movies. Like she just doesn't like the idea of vampires at all. And she went to see this with me, and she absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and I think
she loved every bit of it.
Yeah, yeah. So, do we want to just like break into spoilers?
Yeah,
20-minute mark.
I mean, we can. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna put something on the screen. I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're watching now, everyone's a vampire. Spoilers. So what? How do we start from here?
Honestly,
What an insane sequence of events this movie is.
yeah.
Right. So I think like what I wanted to, something I want to bridge this is I think something I like about this is like this is a very original movie. What I do like is I think this is a movie that just kind of there's a writing adage where it's like, you know, the idea that like tropes are not inherently bad. Right? So many times people will like try to avoid tropes and they just end up with convoluted, uninteresting stories. Or they end up just reinventing the tropes in like a different dress. Right? I like that this movie is very tropey in a lot of ways. It really leans on some of the expectations of vampires, of certain types of characters, right? Like, I grew up watching a lot of like the cheap Ron Corman gangster movies with my dad, and like all the ones about the Chicago mob, and like the amount of stories I've seen about a guy who left for World War II or World War I, came back and then started doing things for Capone, and now the story starts. Right? That's like a tried and true like character type. But I think he like leans into that and really makes Smoke and Stack these really interesting characters, right? He really leans into like the vampire mythos, like the having to be invited in, things like that. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. That was probably one of my favorite things, honestly. Just like that was one of the main things. It's like one thing that he really harped on was the whole like they have to be let in thing.
Yeah.
There isn't too much more of the like vampire lore there.
Well,
like,
there's the garlic,
sunlight. But yeah, but I mean, like before all of that, like the main thing is like we have to be let in, and I think that's a wonderful way that he segued into the social commentary that the movie has as well.
I think there's a lot. Obviously, the movie is jam packed with social commentary, right?
Yeah.
I was watching an interview with him, and I think with Ludwig, the composer, and like I think something that when he said it, I think became incredibly clear is that this started off as a movie about blues music. And then it ended up being a movie with vampires in it. Right. And then it's like, I think like that is very obvious because I think this movie is rooted in the blues hard.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
100%.
Like, something that, since we're in the spoiler section, that I really enjoyed was I went through a phase when I was in high school. I played guitar and I loved blues guitar. So I like listened to a lot of like Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, Buddy Guy. Right. But like,
I love me some Muddy Waters, my guy.
Yeah, but I have a very pedestrian understanding of the blues, right? Like I'm not a hardcore fan. I am not that. So like when I was watching this movie, like obviously like the first, you know, and I'm watching Miles Canton perform and watching his character kind of come out, and it's like, oh, this really feels like kind of like an intersection between like Robert Johnson, like the whole deal with the devil, he made his soul to become for his music, and Buddy Guy. And I was like, but am I just projecting this because those are like two of like the 5 blues artists I know? And then at the end scene for like Buddy Guy to actually
fucking
play,
Buddy Guy's there, yeah.
Right. Fun fact that I don't know if it was shot there, but that is very clearly the scene at the end, the post-credit scene, is very clearly supposed to be Buddy Guy's restaurant in Chicago, Buddy Guy's Legends, which is Patrick, the loft I was living in when we met. It was on that block. I used to go there for lunch and watch like local blues artists play for free.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I've been there dozens of times. It's one of my favorite places. So like seeing that was not something I expected the movie to go, and it kind of blew my mind. I also thought it was very funny that like when Stack is convincing Slim to join, and he has the beer, and it's the Irish beer from the north side of Chicago, and it's like, oh, like I saw the movie at a theater on Clark Street, and that's where all the breweries were like pre-prohibition, and it's like
it's all coming together.
It's all coming together. Yeah. So
that was speaking of that, that's one of my favorite parts of the movie, since we're like definitely deep in the spoilers at this point. One of my favorite parts actually, after they pick up Delta Slim and Cornbread, And how fucking amazing that you have a character named Cornbread in your
He's
movie,
amazing,
right?
and he's a great performance.
Oh yeah, Omar
Right,
Miller
like,
does an amazing
A
job.
movie like this, like, yes, like there's like very not showy, but very like very excellent performances from like Miles Canton, Delroy Lindo, Michael B. Jordan, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But like a movie like this really lives and dies by like the little side characters.
Yeah,
And like I forget,
and they all nailed it.
Yeah, they all nailed it. They all nailed it. It was nuts.
I think just the atmosphere as a whole, like building the world that he made within Sinners.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't grow up in Mississippi, but my parents are from Mississippi, so I would hear stories.
Yeah, so are mine. Yeah.
And like, exactly, you imagine what it was like when they were younger.
I think Rachel's were too. Like,
yeah,
before Philly.
We're all connected, and so like even watching it now, there's so many little things that I hear and I remember my parents telling me. It was just like, this is probably what it was like, and it was so dope actually watching it.
Yeah,
and feeling that it was accurate to how history went. I don't know, just bringing it together. Not only the characters, but just the entire world that they built. It felt like I was there.
Yeah,
so
I do. It is very fun that like this is ultimately a fun vampire movie, a horror movie with vampires in it, but it takes the setting of like early 1930s, like Mississippi, like very seriously.
Oh yeah.
And I think it depicts it very well. And I love how it just kind of throws you in there, right? Mm-hmm. Like it, for example, like it doesn't explain like the wooden penny, like the wooden nickels, right? Like it just like expects you to kind of keep up. Right. And one, I really like that like Ryan Coogler is respecting the audience's intelligence like that. I think it makes the movie like way more immersive. And
a lot of directors don't do that shit nowadays.
No, people are really catering. Like,
like
I
really,
mean,
like,
granted, like
shit.
I'll keep it real with you. I don't think many directors of Ryan Coogler's caliber are doing that today. But it is very common in just like shows and movies for things to be very spelled out for you. And to be honest with you, I think if I am nitpicking this movie a little bit, I think there might be like one thing that was like maybe could have been a little bit more directly said.
Talk to me.
Oh, so we all see that like once you become a vampire, you are basically part of Remic's hive mind, right?
Yeah.
Yes, if you kill Remic, it doesn't automatically kill all the vampires, but like he's like kind of like assimilating them into him. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he has like a strong control over them. And in the fight scene, there's like a very clearly 80-yard line from Annie where she's like, oh, they feel his pain. Right. So if you hit Remic, like all the vampires hit. And that's like a very important plot point for like when Michael B. Jordan shows up at the end to kill Remic while he's baptizing Preacher Boy. Mm-hmm. Like,
my God, what a scene with that though.
What a scene.
Oh,
what a
my
scene.
God.
What, and it's like, I can appreciate when a movie can like so expertly build to a scene that it can be like so on the nose that he's like literally baptizing him and preaching him like a river baptism, which how Mississippi is that?
How
right?
Fucking bro?
How Mississippi?
How Mississippi? My wife.
Also, like how Mississippi and Irish is that? Like that.
Oh,
I think like
it was perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect, right?
Perfect.
Also, something I do want to point out is that I love Jack O'Connell. I've been a fan of his since Skins.
Dude.
Top tier villain.
He's so fucking good.
Like Remic is.
Can we talk about
the best?
How good Ryan is at writing fucking villains, man.
Yeah, my funny joke is that if I had to rank his villains, it goes Pretty Ricky Connolly, Namor, Remic, Killmonger, and then the San Francisco Police Department. I think that is. Like
you said that shit the other day in the Discord, and I was like, I wonder if he meant for this to be as funny as it is.
Yes.
Oh, it's so funny.
But yeah, no, he is a phenomenal villain. And I think, and this is another thing that I like about a lot of movies coming out, is I kind of like that a lot of them are leaning on their modernness, right? Like, I think the fact that Remic is Irish and like the experience of Irish people alongside, you know,
I was
right?
gonna bring that up.
And like, listen, I think that's powerful and like really cool and like something that is supported by like critical views of history. That is also a very modern way to look at it. They weren't, you know, Irish and black people at the time probably didn't see it that way. or at least the same way we do now. It's like one of those things that's like an affective history. But
yeah, but there definitely
I
are
think
some
that
similarities.
makes the story better. Like I think it makes it feel like to me this feels like a movie of the 2020s in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so to me, I think a lot of the social commentary really hits. Now, I'm going to start with Purvis. Purvis, what do you think the movie was about?
What do I think the movie was about?
Because I have two takes. I have two takes, and I think one of them is backed up by an interview with Coogler, and one of them is like just my own. But you start first because I don't want because I know you don't want to follow me or Patrick.
Right, no, you guys are gonna dive way too deep in. I mean, at least for me, like I said, going into it, it was mostly just for my enjoyment. Some takeaways that I had were focused on music. As soon as I walked out, because music is the most important thing to me, at least in this movie. Yeah. Music is spiritual, and how they like.
I think music is spiritual is a great way to is a good summation of the themes of this movie.
Yes, absolutely. Everything that happens within the movie, and I'm going to talk more about it when we break down the actual soundtrack, but like the soundtrack is so important because it actually flows the movie forward, and everything that takes place, everything that's important that happens is a direct reflection to something that musically happens within the movie. So for me, that was the most important impact. I would say, at least in terms of like deeper messaging, I've heard a couple of very interesting takes online that like I've kind of entertained. The most interesting one was the Irish one that we actually brought up. That was going to be the main thing that I wanted to touch on because they historically encountered similar things.
Yeah, the colonialism
exactly.
And specifically, I think the movie is very clearly about religion in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And like the relationship to like black people and Christianity and Irish people to Christianity is where they are the most similar.
Absolutely. And he even touches on it a little bit in terms of like when I forget the character's name. The main villain
Remick.
When Remick is actually when they have the whole dance scene, which may I add, shout out to
that is a equally
Irish dance. Like wow.
First off, that song, like his performance during the Irish dance scene, I think is actually the best performance in the movie.
It was a fucking bop, bro.
And it's like that is like to me. I feel like there are like two set piece scenes that like that like hold up the back half of this movie, and it is the transcendental time travel scene,
the big
and
one.
the Irish like the river dance scene. Like I've been listening to that song all week. It is an incredible scene. I think it's incredibly well performed. I was not aware of that song, but apparently like, I have a lot of friends who are Irish and they were all like, yeah, like this is like a classic Irish folk song.
I mean, it makes sense. You can see the talent and the research that comes out in the movie. And in that scene, he's essentially explaining like, oh, if you join me as a vampire, you have an entirely different life. And that's exactly how people kind of like push Christianity on your like livelihood. And obviously, like I'm a Christian, you guys know that. And so like seeing that from that perspective, and I was kind of laughing with my girlfriend as well, like having the main character be a preacher boy and then I'm a preacher boy and like telling your dad one of the songs is literally titled "I Lied to You" because like
because like that feels
so
very Purvis.
Too. I was just like, okay, I guess this is me. I'm just gonna like be in the movie now.
Important Purvis story, Patrick. Purvis had to lie to his parents about what music he was listening to for a very long time.
Literally.
Oh man.
So just like everything about that character was just like, oh yeah, that's me. Like
that's me.
I fully relate to this on a deep spiritual level. But yeah, that was the main takeaways for me. Preacher Boy, I connected to a lot. The Irish connection and like linking that to religion and Black culture, I love that as well. So those are my takeaways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just want to touch on something really quick that you said before I go into just like my like understanding of it. My favorite, one of my favorite things about watching Ryan's movies when he deals with villains is that he always gives his villains the same respect that he does the heroes.
Right.
And what I mean by that is obviously we get this beautiful surreal montage with inside the juke joint, but then he gives Remick that basically that same respect with the river dance and everything, with the circle around him and just really showcasing his Irish heritage, like, and I feel like a lesser director wouldn't have done that, or wouldn't have even known to do that.
Yeah.
But my biggest takeaways from this, obviously the religious aspect, 100%.
Yeah. I think that's the most. It's called Sinners.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Like,
and then one of my favorite things, one of the biggest themes throughout the movie, is about ownership, specifically Black ownership, and how back then.
I think this is going to be similar to my big take.
Okay, so then, like, back then, it's like, oh, like, we have something, but we really don't. There's always something looming over.
Yep.
Yeah, and they touch on it multiple times. Like, even Stack at the end is like, oh, this is the only time I ever really felt free. But like, they never really were. And then that stuff still echoes to today, where some people throughout our country and across the world just still don't feel that way. And especially people that look like myself and look like Purvis, like that sense of ownership. That's something that was just preached to us, no pun intended, as we were kids, just like the value of ownership, just being a Black man in America, or just being Black in America. Right. And I think Ryan, exactly, how to fucking survive, man. And one of the biggest survival tips was ownership, like having something that belongs to you. But then there's always this like gloom, like this cloud over your head of like, do I really own this? Or there's something that's always going to pull the rug from under you, or the goalpost is going to be moved. And I think Ryan did a really good job showcasing that throughout the movie. And then, I mean, just shit, freedom ain't free. They went through a lot to get there, and they paid a really heavy cost there. And then also, the blues is fucking awesome. I think that's what Brian wanted everybody to know.
Right, so, yeah. And like, one, I do love, and this is something we'll get back to, I do just love the depiction of the blues, right? Because, and this is gonna tie into like, because I kind of have like two looks at it. Like, I have like two different interpretations. I feel like are just different lenses to look at it. But yeah, I think my first one is, I think it's very much about commercialization, right? And like turning something from a tradition into a product that you make money off of, right? Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that the whole shit with the vampires starts because they want to start taking the white man's money. Right? Like, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's kind of like the whole thing, right? Is that like this, blues is very famous because like a lot of these early blues songs like do not have like formal like authors, right? Like, there's a huge controversy about Led Zeppelin because they would release blues songs and put themselves as the authors, when really like they're songs that are handed down traditionally through the Delta and like other places in the South, and like they're just that concept of ownership, which like I think is like, Patrick, I think everything you said is like on the point, like on the ball. But like, blues was like something beyond that. It was like a spiritual thing. It was something that,
like, a shared experience,
right? I think like when Slim says it, it's like, oh, that's the thing they brought with them.
Man,
right? Like, religion is
when I heard that,
and like, listen, I think like if we want to talk actual history, I think like there's a huge complicated history of Christianity in Africa, but like that, as far as like the people in this country, like that is just facts. Right. Different. Like, that is like just facts. And I thought that was just beautiful. Right. And I think it is like, this movie is like the opening of a juke joint is like the first step in like blues music going from like this spiritual thing that is like simultaneously like ancient tradition mixed with like edgy youth culture. And then like hell starts to come once you need to start making money off of it. Once talent like Preacher Boys becomes a product that invites the evil of people like Remick. Right. Like, and I think like the same way that like record executives might buy up like the rights to like songs and everything and kind of assimilate like Black artists and the blues and like genres all over. And like, not just Black artists, it's just that is the predominant base of like American culture, but like it happens to everyone, right? Like, you just become assimilated, you become part of the machine, right? And like, yeah, so that is my first major takeaway is I think it's very much a commentary about commercialization. And I think like, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, to even add on to that specific point, not only is it like protecting or having it changed to where it's actually a commercial product, it's also about protecting the actual culture and making sure it is accessible and available to us.
Right.
The ones that actually invented it. And like the whole scene where they're going back and forth in terms of like if they would actually accept a certain form of currency that isn't American dollars. It's like it's a balance between how much are we going to lean and actually like give these people who are clearly working hard. This is their break. This is their away from the field. This is their opportunity to actually come together as a culture. Do we really need to make money off of it? Or is it more about like creating a place for people to express their culture together?
Yeah, a safe space. Yeah.
Yeah. No. And I think like that's exactly it. Right. I think like, beautifully put. I also think there might be another message of like religion versus like radical self-interest. Right. Like I think that is another thing that like Remick kind of like represents. He kind of represents freeing yourself from like all earthly expectations and like chasing only the things that you want. But that leads you to do to like us, you know, to like do bad things. Like that leads you to do jealous things, like turn a young boy into a vampire so you have access to his powers, right? Because Remick is his goal is noble, but it's ultimately very self-interested. He wants to commune with his people again across time, and he needs Preacher Boy's spiritual ability, which I think it was very, very telling that like the very first words of the movie are setting up that like Preacher Boy's powers, like this thing, is a thing from Irish culture. It's not. It's like, and I think that's something that came through in the interviews with Ryan Coogler, is this idea of like music transcending like the past and the future and allows you to commune with like both your descendants and your ancestors. That actually is a thing from Irish culture. And I think that makes a ton of sense and like why it calls to Remick. And like, yeah, I think it's like very, very interesting. And like, I think it's also like very clear that Remick, like the same way that like religion like takes your identity from you and like makes you just your like a part of like a tradition and a machine, like radical self-interest makes you a slave to your own urges, right? Like and they both require you to like expunge your identity, right? And that's why Preacher Boy, the only person in this movie with a like a really happy ending, you know, well, besides Smoke, maybe. Yeah, like I think Smoke has a happy ending, like a tragic ending, but a happy one.
Yeah, his ending is definitely a happy one.
Yeah. I mean, spoilers, he dies, but like, but yeah, it does feel very good. And yeah, so I think like this, the pull of like religion and like tradition and like almost like duty. And like, because like, you know, I'm sure Purvis can relate to the idea that like being born into like this religious structure like comes with a ton of expectations.
Very true. It's a balance between having a connection to God and having a connection to the church. And like those who attend church, they understand.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, and you know, I think another thing, and I think this is something Rachel brought up a lot, is that I think we really enjoyed that like it kind of depicts like a fight against these two forces where the answer is ultimately to like divest from that kind of fight and like kind of blaze your own trail. But I also think it doesn't equivocate, like right? Like I do think like this isn't as critical of like the church as it is of just like religion in general, if that makes sense.
I think that's fair because it's not like they dive too deeply into like Christianity as a specific religion. It does focus on the entire concept of
religion, right? I think Christianity is the most relevant in how it connects the Sammy and Smoke and Stack with Remick, right? Like that is really like the place where Christianity itself is the most relevant. But yeah, it really is more about religion as a whole.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the way that he tackled religion, man, and just obviously in the grand speech that Remick gives towards the end, he kind of spells it out for everybody, you know, when he's telling them, hey, these are the same words that you're saying right now were said by the people that took my land, that killed my family, that took everything away from the people that I loved. And I think that he does a really good job balancing that while also not being ignorant, if that makes sense. Like not saying that religion is 100% bad and things like that. Just basically what I got from this is, man, like, know your history, do your research, understand where you come from, what your ancestors went through so that you understand the entire story. Don't just believe what's being fed to you. And that was a really big thing, as I'm sure Purvis can relate to as well. Growing up in the church, I did as well a little bit. There was no room for questions. It was just like, hey, this is what happened. You need to believe this.
Especially traditionally, yeah. It was fear everything. And I mean, that's what worked for them. But especially now in 2025, nobody's really afraid of anything. So like you need a new method in terms of like, if this is something that you believe, obviously, you need a new method in terms of how you're going to bring people to Christ, if that's what you're going to do. So I don't know. Like you said, understanding the history behind a lot of stuff, because specifically Christianity and Irish culture, certain individuals have used Christianity to go to war, for example. So like there's negativity absolutely around the religion, but you just got to know what's true to you. So
I totally agree with that.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we go on to what I think is like the prime set piece of the movie?
No, it is.
I was freaking out.
Dude, this was the most insane thing I've ever seen. So in the middle of the movie, it's Sammy, Preacher Boy. Oh, by the way, small thing. One of my favorite things in the whole movie is towards the end when Sammy is running out of the barn or running out of the juke joint and he has to jump down. And Remic's there. And the way he just says Sammy is like the funniest thing.
The way he says his name those like 2 times, I fucking love it, man.
Dude, he's so good. Well, I think like one of my favorite like little performance things is I love that Remic's voice changes throughout the movie. Like in the beginning of the movie, he's like doing like a very thick Southern accent, and then towards the end of the movie, I think it's like once Mary goes outside to talk to him, like his voice is much more Irish. And
I swear to you right now, that is in my notes for episode. I swear. Oh my God, I love it. I thought it was very intentional. Yeah. And I loved it.
Yeah. And also I do appreciate, because like walking into this movie, before we get to the big scene, one last thing about like meaning and like vampires. Like I think like a lot of people who like, or maybe not even a lot of people, because like I had faith that Googler would do something more interesting, but I think it's very easy to see this movie as like, oh, the vampires are racism, right? Like they are a metaphor for just like what black people went through in the South. And it's like, I am just very happy Coogler decided to go with something like much more nuanced. He certainly does not evade like the race kind of commentary about the time and like the racism of the time. Like I think like one of the small nitpicks I have is I think like the Ku Klux Klan plot could have been lifted a little bit more. Like that's like the whole reason they can't just leave the barn, and it's like, oh, that's something I didn't really catch. Yeah, but getting back to the scene where Sammy does his big performance of "I Lied to You."
Man,
how would you describe it? Like, this is unlike anything I have seen in a movie.
I would love to go first if that's okay with you guys.
Go ahead.
So first of all, I cried when that scene happened the first time, because it was so unexpected, but it felt so authentic. Number one, to Ryan's ability. Like, it was like, man, I don't know what else I expected, right? Yeah. But it was just such a beautiful moment to see. Obviously, these people look like me, just from our heritage, from the beginning of our time, of our lineage, all the way up until where we are now. And then just the subtle things of like the roof burning. Like, I took it like, like how black people used to say the roof was burning. We don't need any water. Let this motherfucker burn. Yeah. Right? It's like simple things like that. Like, Ryan is speaking a language to a very specific group of people, but it is understandable across, like, no matter what culture you come from, no matter where you are. And he was able to teeter the line of like whimsical and like a dreamlike state and reality. And that was something like just as simple as I can put it, man. That's some shit that I don't think I've ever seen put on film before.
I think
like the way that he did that was fucking amazing.
Like,
and that scene is really going to be studied for years to come.
Yes.
Yeah. And like combining everything, not only doing a scene that is this ephemeral in the middle of a otherwise very grounded, tactile movie.
Yes.
Right. And pulling it off so well, not to mention the fact that it's a gigantic oneer that is
and on IMAX cameras,
an unbroken
which only film. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the thing I love about this scene, even more than the elaborate cinematography, which anyone who knows me knows I love elaborate cinematography, but
he does. Yes, he does.
I also I do love like how the music is like an active part of the scene, right? Like this had to be concepted from like composition to like shot, like composition of the music, composition of the shot, like to incorporate all the sounds that are just kind of coming together. Making this song is insane. Like this is like just like
together so well
if this was just a random single that came out, like it would blow. I feel like it would blow people's minds. Like to just hear like a good blues song that like transitions into like African drum circles and like East Coast beats,
DJ music,
and DJ
music.
Everything.
Yeah,
man.
Then to combine that with like the visuals, holy shit, right? I have the ever smallest nitpick of this scene.
Okay.
I think because I really like that, like the people in the scene that are like clearly like transcending time, like they're very representative of like sounds and movements, right? The best examples being like the Chinese opera singer, who is clearly meant to represent like the Chinese like members who are there,
Grace and Bo,
right? And like the West Coast people, right? Because they're very like that's not just hip hop. That is a very specific type of hip hop. I also love the girl that's at the bar, because to me she seems very modern. Like she seems like she's almost modeled after like the City Girls a little bit, and I think like the way, you know, like it seems like a love for that kind of music. My small nitpick is I think there would have been a lot of power if the electric guitar player, the first guy that we see, I know he's kind of supposed to be evocative of Parliament Funkadelic.
Yep.
I think if he was evocative of Jimi Hendrix, it would have
that would have been fun.
It would have really draw a line that I think would have been just like a showstopper, right? Like to me, it was like at first it was like, okay, this is like a spiritual scene. Like this does not need to represent people. And then you have the dude that looks exactly like Run DMC. Then you have the dudes who look exactly like the West Coast folks. You have like the period accurate Chinese people. So it does feel like, you know, that's my smallest little nitpick. But I think as far as like how it just like combines this and communicates this and like just keeps it all going, Jesus, like this was unlike anything I've ever seen.
It really was.
Yeah.
I fully agree with that. Halfway between the song, like it wasn't even over. And I turned to my girl and I was just like, this is a top 10 scene I've ever seen in my life. And like, it's not even over.
Yeah. Like we've seen so many more movies than you. And this is probably a top 10 scene we've seen in our life. Like,
I said something like that to my wife, man.
Yeah.
I said something like that to her. Like, not necessarily the scene, but I leaned to her and told her like that was one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen. And when the movie was over, I couldn't stop thinking about that, obviously. Yeah. And I told her, so I drove to Indiana to see this in IMAX 70 millimeter. So we had a 3-hour car ride for me to get on my wife's nerves on the way back. And I told her, I want to say maybe like an hour after talking, I was like, yeah, man, it was probably one of the best fucking movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. As far as like movies I have been alive to see in the theaters. Yeah. Right. Like this is up there. And like scenes like this is just like, people are going to be talking about this forever. This is going to be like
you said, this is going to be studied. It has to be studied. It's like for me, at least in what I would call Black culture, I feel like religion is kind of up there in terms of like what's discussed the most, but music is right up there with it, for me at least. Yeah, and like the way they portrayed music throughout all the different eras, it hit. Like it
Bro.
touched my heart, and I was like,
Yeah.
man, this
Because that could have fallen. Like he could have fallen really hard there.
Oh yeah,
Right.
You know, if
Oh,
that
yeah.
wasn't done, like the slightest thing could have really like flipped that on its head. But he knew exactly what the fuck he was doing.
This was the riskiest scene in the movie, but I think it pays off wonderfully, right?
Yeah.
You know, I was able to see this movie a second time, and I do think after seeing it a second time, I think the Rocky Road to Dublin scene, I think is much like I used to see it as like, holy shit, there's this incredible scene, and then the movie is also very good. And then now I see it as like these two kind of bookmarking incredible scenes. And yeah, no, I could not enjoy what was in front of me more when I saw this fucking movie. It was insane.
Is this your favorite Coogler film to date?
Me?
Yeah, I know you're very. I know you're very.
I
know you.
maybe
I
not.
know you're so attached to Creed
I
because of Stallone.
I am planning. Me and Rachel are going to do a Creed rewatch when we get back from Puerto Rico because I need to do that. Like it is, because like it is. I don't know, dude. Like it is hard for me. Like this is easily second. You know. I mean, like I do really love Black Panther too. It's just that I do think Black Panther, the first one, Black Panther as well, but I do just think, you know, it becomes a Marvel movie in the third act, and like I think the storytelling is good. I don't think the visuals are as compelling, right? So, but yeah, no, this might be, but Creed is a very special movie to me. I met one of my best friends there.
There you go. Yeah. How touching.
You know, and like this was the movie. Like I think we had gone to see it a second time, and then I was hanging out with Patrick while he ate 2 Chick-fil-A meals in my dorm room. And,
I did, yeah. Fuck yeah,
yeah. And you know, I think earlier we called that, you know, Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler were going to be the Scorsese and De Niro of our generation. And it's like, wow, that prediction is paying dividends like right now.
It really is. Oh
right? Like
every time they link up, it's fucking funny.
Right? Because I remember having, I don't know, like I didn't have any doubts about Michael B. Jordan with this one, but like I remember for Black Panther, I kind of did. Like,
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, like I remember being like,
you were not feeling that shit.
I mean, like I was willing to give it a shot, but like, you know, and I was clearly wrong because like Killmonger is maybe. I think like a real hard question is like, you know, who is the better Michael B. Jordan performance, Smoke and Stack or Killmonger?
That's honestly a
and
good
like
question.
I think it is kind of hard because he's playing two different people, and also, holy shit, this is the best time I've ever seen like the same person play twins.
Hey,
right?
Man,
like
don't disrespect Lindsay Lohan. Hold on, no.
No,
I'm just kidding, man.
The main two I was thinking about was like The Social Network.
Oh yeah, that's actually
that one's
what's crazy.
I love that.
I did not know that was the same person.
Yeah,
because I had no idea who Armie Hammer was, and obviously the visual effects in that are great as well. But I just genuinely thought that Armie Hammer had a fucking twin.
Yeah, yeah. No, that one was I think before. You know, this movie came out. I think that would have previously been the best one. Tom Hardy did it in Legend, but
yeah,
I think the thing with both of those performances is that they almost feel like a unit, especially the Winklevoss, like the Winkle vibe in the Social Network. Like they feel like a two-head, like one character with two heads, if that makes sense. Whereas Smoke and Stack are distinct, very different characters who have like just ground up different performances, right? Like these are not, you know, just one guy playing the same guy twice. Like this is, you know, I think like one of my favorite little character beats is details is I think it subverts like the trope of like Stack is clearly the impulsive one, but he's not the violent one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Smoke is the one shooting people before the movie gets going, right? And he's like the disciplined, he's like the reliable one, he's the one who's like good to kids, but he's also the violent. And I thought like, oh, like there's a lot of like small details to make like this very, I don't want to say trope filled because that has a connotation that I don't want to imply, but like this very like embracing of the genre, making it feel just like wholly organic and unique.
Yeah, and there was a lot of expectation subversion with that as well, because just the way that they look, the way that they dress, the way that Stack speaks, up until you see them making the deal with Hogwood. That's where you get that first notion that, okay, yeah, like what you're saying, that Smoke is the aggressor. Like he's the one that's like, oh, nah, we got guns, bro. We ain't no kids.
Which I think,
he's the one that starts that.
Because like in every movie, it's the guy who would be like, no, we're cousins, is also the guy who would shoot people.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And I loved that little bit of it. Oh, another thing I want to bring up on this movie that is something I really, really appreciate, given like the climate in Hollywood and like what is like a lot of movies are getting made, is I like that this movie is like kind of sexy, right? Like this is not
horny.
This is a fairly
very horny movie.
Yeah,
this is a very horny movie.
This is a very horny movie. But the thing is, like, this is a movie for adults, right? Yeah. Like, I think it is like. To me, like, I think, like, considering how much of a huge part of life sexuality is, I think it's weird how sanitized a lot of media has gotten. And, like, listen, does this push it a little bit in some scenes? Sure. But, like, but I
heard a gasp from the, like, entire audience.
Yeah. Like,
when he was like, you're just beautiful, I want to taste it. I literally heard,
dude,
like, people just go like,
dude, imagine your first movie and you become the pussy eating actor. Like,
man,
God.
Wow, what a title.
Yeah. Like, it's fine. People love him. Like, we haven't talked a lot about Miles Canton.
I mean, dude, like, we haven't really gotten too much into the performances outside of MBJ. But he's great for this to be his first fucking movie.
Yeah, the fact that
he's fantastic.
Yeah, the fact that he was discovered like opening for her and like never acted in a movie before, like, or played guitar.
That's insane.
Like, he's a singer. Like, the singing is what he did before, but like he
studied guitar for like 5 months.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fucking dope.
I think one of my favorite parts about this movie is like the tension on the discussions online about who was the best performance in the movie, because like it really is a Rorschach test, right? Like there really isn't a bad link in the movie. Like for me, I would put it like Michael B. Jordan, obviously, because there's two of them. He's doing twice the work. But like, dude, Delroy Lindo,
he's the one for me.
He's slim. He's the old dude. Dude, I fucking love that character.
Dude, his the monologue that he has in the car,
insane.
Bro, I'm getting chills thinking about this shit right now. Just the fucking filmmaking, right? Just the cinematic art that Ryan is doing with Delroy in that scene, for him to be telling that horrifying story that he's telling. But then for Ryan to not do a flashback or anything like that, but to just put the sounds in the movie.
Yeah. It's nuts. It's super powerful and evocative.
Oh my God. It just really just amplifies. Obviously, it's meant to amplify the horrific story that he's telling. And by God, does it work.
It like forces you to feel the gravity of the story. Like if
bro.
If you're someone who's like so disconnected from this kind of like way of life, or like these people who experience this, like it's a way to force that like level of gravity, and that scene is impeccable. There's just so many.
I was gonna say it also touches on how we cope and deal with trauma.
Yes,
afterwards, go right into like go ahead,
right into guitar. Music.
It's like, oh my goodness, no, that's real. Bro.
And
like
and drinking
couldn't have mental health issues back like that. Don't exist. I didn't grow up in a house that believed in mental health issues. So
man, something's wrong with you. Go to church.
It's like, it's like that. It's like depression. That's the devil. Like,
so that's.
I remember
that was real.
It's like my grandma wrote candles and buried shit. Like it was like my grandma did hoodoo, and it was like. But yeah, I think another little detail I love is I kind of love that like a lot of the vampire tropes are like kind of like reconstructed in this film, right? Like them, like the garlic thing. I think like when she throws the pickled garlic on Smoke or Stack, the vampire one.
Stack, yeah.
Like I think that's very clearly supposed to be evocative of holy water.
Of holy water, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
And like
I think they even say that it was like mixed in or something.
No, it was pickled garlic.
No, it was pickled garlic.
Oh, I knew it was pickled garlic,
Yeah.
but for some reason I
So,
thought they mentioned
it does-
I think they mention holy water again, but they're like, what can do it, but they don't have any.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, she mentions holy water, but they don't have any. But I do like the idea of like this Louisiana Bayou hoodoo spiritualism, like just like kind of like reinventing like these classic vampire tropes of like, oh, vampire or garlic, wooden stakes through the heart, sunlight. So all the things that we know to be true of vampire, or all the things like consistent with like the things, but just like giving it a new aesthetic by giving it a slightly different origin. That's a thing that you see mostly a lot in like fantasy novels and like sci-fi novels. And I really enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's very good world building. I think like my only serious nitpicks with this movie, besides like the one for that scene, are things that I think are just like kind of like larger systemic Hollywood issues. I think there's a trend, especially among good movies, oddly enough, of like the sound mixing not being incredible, and just like, being very eager to be able to watch this movie with subtitles. Right? Like, I remember Nosferatu was brutal. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you just could not understand like what another vampire movie, oddly enough. But like,
there's a trend there.
and like, but it's a lot of movies now. Like Oppenheimer was like that. The Northman was like that. Like Dune was like that in certain segments. Like it's just like very hard to hear. Right. And I think Sinners is maybe the least bad, but I think it is a victim of that.
Yeah, there were definitely some parts where I was like, yeah, what the fuck? Yeah.
And seeing as this movie has so much social commentary and like representation in it, I have a small nitpick, and that is that, in the Mississippi Delta and like throughout the South, once the economy changed from like slavery to sharecropping, there was an influx of immigrants from Latin America who made up a huge percentage of the population there, who are the people who still pick cotton, right? Like people still pick cotton in this country, and like pick fruit and pick vegetables, and it's Latin people. And, especially after doing some research about like, what, because I was like, they're probably just not very common. It was like, no, they were like 20-30% of the population of like the Mississippi Delta in like the 30s and 40s. Right. Like, and like the only indication you get of that is a tamale stand in the background of one of the things. So it is
I didn't
like,
even catch that actually.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, like I really appreciate that they brought in like the East Asian influence, because like, yeah, those people were there. It's absolutely fair to depict them. It's just that there's a larger trend in Hollywood, I feel, that like whenever a movie is like actively trying to be diverse, they tend to overlook Latin people, and like they are one of the, despite being one of the largest groups in the country, they are one of the least represented. And it's like, would have liked for this to break the trend, especially considering, the connection to today, where it's like, we are the people, still doing this work.
And also, if anyone that was going to bring it out of Hollywood and do it the right way, Coogler would have
been Coogler, right? And like, listen, I get that there's like there's only so many characters you can have in this movie, and it has a perspective, and like maybe you have to like focus and cultivate. I get that. I just think like this is a larger Hollywood issue that like I would have liked for this movie to have been the thing to buck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's really as far as like any nitpick I have.
I don't got shit. I don't got shit to nitpick about this movie. I didn't notice, but that's a really good insight, though. Honestly,
right.
But I'll be honest with you, man. I had absolutely zero faults with this fucking movie, other than it wasn't long enough for me. Like I wanted more, but I respect what they made, and I also want to go on record that I don't want to see anything come from this. I don't want a sequel, a prequel, nothing. I want this shit to stand on its own and just be
a movie. Be from dusk till dawn. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like
I think one thing we kind of entertained was like something in Chicago, maybe with Smoke and Stack, but like it's not needed. Like
no, it's certainly not needed. What I might like is a movie that is like similar. Right? Like it is. Coogler doing another a period horror movie, like inverting the tropes of something else well known, right? Like, I think that could be very fun, right? But no, I do not want any direct sequels to this. It feels like we almost get a sequel in the post-credit scene, right?
Yeah.
Like it kind of closes the loop completely, right? We know Stack is out there. We know he's in the, dressed like Do the Right Thing meets Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like,
and fucking Belle Biv DeVoe. That's
What
what
a
the fuck he
combination.
looked like, man.
yeah,
Oh my god,
hanging out with that white woman forever. Like,
bro. Can we?
Oh,
can we
she's
talk
very
about
good.
Haley
She's
Steinfeld
very
for
good
a
in the
second?
movie. I love
She-
Haley Steinfeld.
Bro. I've been a fan
I'm
of her since True Grit,
Yeah.
and dude, she has obviously some of the most provocative scenes and sequences, lines
Obviously.
and sequences in the movie. But she sells everything. Like
She's fantastic.
It's all wonderful. She's absolutely amazing in this.
No, like 100%. I think Haley Steinfeld kind of had a thankless role in this movie because I don't think she's as sympathetic as Remick, despite being absolutely like a character who you should feel sympathy for, right? Like I think she's a fully well realized character. I gotta be honest though, like the first time I saw the movie where the scene line where she just goes, "I didn't want to be white," I'm like, okay, like it's like okay, like the second time I saw the movie didn't bother me as much, but like,
hey, she hit that boy kind of hard. I was
yeah,
like, hey, hold
right,
on. She was at the bar. She said, "Boy," I said, "Hold on now."
Hold on now, whoa! That sounded a little too good.
yeah,
Hold
no,
on
it
now.
is.
A bit too natural.
That came too easy for you.
Right, yeah. So, my ridiculous take is that Mary should have been Italian.
Should we talk about the soundtrack?
Yeah,
then?
let's pivot to the soundtrack. Let's
Fuck
do that.
yeah.
Okay, so movie incredible, and also controversial point. I'm not someone who listens to a lot of like movie soundtracks and scores.
I used to, like back in our college days, I used to listen to it a lot.
I'll listen to some sometimes when I'm like writing or working.
I know Interstellar. That's about it. Like,
Right? Yeah. like I have like I have like a playlist of like movie soundtracks for when I'm writing, but that's like pretty much it. But this soundtrack has stayed on. Right? This is an incredible collection of music. Right. And there's a lot of songs on this soundtrack that like did not make it into the movie by some like really interesting contemporary artists. Like one of Purvis's Golden Boys, Don Toliver, has that. Got it right here.
Flames of Fortune.
The Flames of Fortune, which is an excellent song. I don't think it's in the movie.
Yeah.
It's not. When you told me, I was like, how is this in the soundtrack? Because I didn't recall hearing his voice. And I'm normally pretty good at picking his up, but I'm glad that they included it on the soundtrack.
Yeah. Same with Haley Steinfeld's Dangerous. That's a great song. I don't think
It was actually, yeah. I really liked that actually.
Yeah.
I'm also a really big fan of the music that she has made before. So I was really shocked to know that she put a song on there, and it's actually really good.
Yeah. Oh, one of my favorite little musical parts. This is more of like the movie, but Pick Poor Robin Clean.
Pick Poor Robin Clean.
Yeah.
First off, the most vampire fucking song of
Amazing.
all time.
Bro,
Right?
I was bopping to that shit.
It's a fun song and it's a fun version, but Rachel found the original one, which is on the playlist on Spotify. There's a playlist that has not just like the soundtrack, but music that Ryan and Ludwig picked out that like influenced the movie. And like Pick Poor Robin Clean, the original version is, and in the movie, like they stop him and he goes, "Oh, it's just about to get to the good part." In the original version, that's like where she starts saying a bunch of old timey slurs, like, like it's like an old black woman, and she's like just saying like I'm a blank, and just like, and it's like, oh, that's the good part, Jack O'Connell.
Of course, the white Irish man wanted to get to the good part.
Yeah, but yeah, Purvis, tell us some of your favorites, like, because you're our music expert now, because this has just been purely a movie podcast. For the last hour and 10 minutes.
I mean, at least for the highlights for me, Obviously, I lied to you. That's the most impactful song in the entire
This
movie.
song has been in my
like
rotation.
Yeah.
I love this song.
Yep.
It's so important to
I
everything.
would have listened to this song if it just came out.
Yes, absolutely. Besides that, you mentioned Dangerous. Dangerous, I think, fits perfectly in terms of like the theme that the character plays. And also Wayne Dang Doodle.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie,
it's fun.
Slaps. It's amazing.
No,
So those are probably my highlights.
yeah, I think for my big highlights are one, I lied to you. It is just, it's an original song for the movie. It's incredible. It's just, I don't know what else. It's like Pyramids if it was a blues song. For me, I've been saying it all episode, but like Rocky Road to Dublin, I think this version slaps. And when you listen to the sound,
fucking slaps, dude. Oh my god.
I love how like when you listen to the soundtrack version, like I don't know if this was so clear in the movie, but when I get it on Blu-ray and I watch it once a week, I'm sure I'll pick up on it. But towards the end, like they replace like the stomping with like 808s, like really heavy,
yes,
like digital drums, like over, and like towards the end of the movie, like talking about the score a little bit too. I love how it blends genres, and especially like genres that aren't represented. You know, foreshadowing for my recommendations, like heavy metal played a huge influence in like a lot of the music towards the end of the movie. Specifically, like they used a specific guitar for those power chords after Remick tries to get Sammy. And I think just it's another way that like music, which is another genre that is heavily indebted to the blues, right? Like we don't think of it this way, but like heavy metal is just an extreme version of the blues. So I really, really enjoyed that. I love how that track. I also loved Pale Pale Moon, the version on the soundtrack with Brittany Howard. Don't get me wrong. I think Miles Catton and wait, no, it wasn't her. It was Jamie Lawson.
Jamie Lawson, yeah.
Is she the other black girl who's the singer?
Yeah, that was Perlene, yeah.
Yeah, Perlene, yeah. I think she's great in the movie, but like Brittany Howard is like she's like one of my favorite singers of all time. She was the singer of Alabama Shakes. Purvis, I don't know if you remember like that one episode we did where we just recommended things based on genre. This was the Southern rock group that you really liked.
Yep.
She's incredible. I also love the Buddy Guy version of Travelin', right? Like, obviously it's incredible that they got an original Buddy Guy song for the movie. And yeah, like I've been just listening to this on repeat, like constantly. And I think that is just a testament to the music itself. It seems like there was as much care put into it as the movie itself. Like it reminds me a lot of Black Panther, the first one.
Mm-hmm. Definitely agree with that.
That's
a good comparison.
I think for me, so you guys hit a couple of songs that I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm Traveling, I Lied to You, like fucking slaps. One of the main ones that stuck out to me was Can't Win for Losing. I really love that one because obviously just in the title itself, it just speaks to the theme of the movie.
Yeah, definitely.
And love Rocky Road to Dublin, of course. That was great. And the song that plays through the credits is Sinners by Rod Wave.
Yeah, that song's really good. I don't like Rod Wave like that. And
I don't. My oldest daughter does. She loves Rod Wave. Her favorite song
fun.
is
That's a fun experience for you to have.
Yeah,
like
it'd be worse. No.
I think her favorite song is, I think it's a song that he has like trying not to cry in the club in the middle of a love song or something like that.
Yeah,
and it can't. So this song came on at the end of the movie, and I was like, "It's fucking Rod Wave, right?" Now I'm listening to it. I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, this fucking hits." I was like, "Oh, I gotta play this for my daughter," and she fucking loves it, man. So that song, I really love that. It just sucks that I don't think it really would have really fit into the movie. Like if they really played it, I don't think it really would have fit very well. But I just would have liked to see him, like, it would have been dope to play it, but I just don't think it would have.
Yeah. Oh, another thing, and
piece on that song. He made that song a day after watching the movie.
Yes,
that's nuts.
Yeah,
So,
that's
but-
fucking
Yeah.
crazy.
Like, yeah, this might be an intro to Rod Wave for me because like I have not heard anything that I've like really stuck out to me, but I really do like this song.
Right,
I
we
really,
get
I
you
really
game
dig
now.
that.
Yeah.
Give him a listen, man. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how my daughter got into it because I don't really listen to Rod Wave.
Yeah.
But
it's
yeah,
pretty
he's got some good tracks. I can't lie about that.
Yeah. Oh, so I was kind of like checked on this by my lady wife, but there was like one musical thing that I kind of would have liked, which is I walking out. I originally wished there was maybe more of a presence of bluegrass music. Because like the same way, like bluegrass has a similar relationship to like Irish immigrants as that like the blues has to like African immigrants, right? Like it is music, like it has like roots in like the folk music of that place. The thing is that bluegrass music wasn't really invented till like the 40s, so like it, you know, although
It kind of makes sense. Yeah.
so was the Molotov cocktail, but like and like not for anything, but like there's kind of an entire sequence in this movie where the whole point is that like about music from the future. So like but no, I think this soundtrack was just absolutely just from head to tail just fantastic. And it really does, you know, like Coogler describes this movie as like wanting to be like a full meal. And that's what it feels like. It feels like in some ways, like the last movie that made me feel like this was Guardians of the Galaxy, where it was just like a enjoyable movie with like good character work, a good story. Obviously, like this is like a better movie than Guardians of the Galaxy in some ways, but like just like a complete experience that like left you wanting more in like a healthy way. Like it wasn't like, oh, now I need to go see the next episode of this universe kind of thing. It was more of just like, you know, I just want more from this creative mind, more from these characters. Yeah. You know, with this one specifically, like, yeah, I don't necessarily want like a sequel or anything, but like, I certainly want more original movies from Ryan Coogler now.
I'll tell you what I do want. Just on that note, I want everything that they can give us of the behind the scenes in the making of this movie. That's what I want. I want the director's commentary. I want actors' commentary. I want deleted
I would
scenes.
director's commentary the shit out of this movie,
Bro.
I love a commentary track. Like,
oh, man, I fucking love it, dude. My wife hates it. Like, dude, I remember when Oppenheimer came out. I was like,
God, I have not. Dude,
Bro.
I only get to watch movies with the commentary track when Rachel's out of town, and it's like not that she like hates it, but it's just like she just isn't like that.
Yeah.
She's not
same.
like a giant movie nerd like us. Like, I'm sure if like we were
My wife
watching,
would just leave the room. Like, she'll just leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, right.
I remember one day she came in. I was doing it. I can't remember what fucking movie it was, and I was watching the comment. Oh, it was for The Woman King actually. And she's like, "Oh my god, The Woman King! I've been wanting to watch this so long." She went, got popcorn and shit, peeing, and I'm laughing under my breath. And I was like, okay, she didn't hear the commentary when she came in, and then she came and sat down. And she's like, "What the fuck? This is the fucking commentary, babe." I'm like, "Yeah." And she just got up and fucking left. She like threw the bowl of popcorn at me and everything, and just went the fuck to sleep.
Wow, that's mean. The popcorn didn't hurt anybody. Like,
Right.
yeah, no,
She
I
hates
just.
him, man.
I'm
Yeah.
sure if I told Rachel, I'd be like, "Hey, go hang out in your room for a couple hours. I'm gonna watch Social Network and like listen to an old white guy talk about it while I watch it." Like,
Man.
but like, you know, that to be honest though, it's just like watching commentary tracks is just how me and Patrick like got like this. Like you just like that's how you learn. Like that's how you learn how people actually make movies, right?
That and reading the script to The Hateful Eight in your dorm room.
That was fun. Dude, if there is this is the next, I would love a bound copy of this screenplay from the bookshelf.
Oh, yes.
Right?
100%.
Like, I am certain that this is going to be, so like, you know, we talk about it being a horror movie and like the Academy not really fucking with horror movies or black people, but like, but I do think there are just going to be some areas where this movie
No brainers. Yeah.
can't be ignored. I think like the screenplay is one of them.
Now, while he's not black, Ludwig is most certainly going to win his third Oscar for this.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
100%. And
Yeah.
Deservedly.
Ludwig is a genius. Like, he is an incredible, like, his repertoire is insane.
Yeah.
Like, to go from like making the score to like Community to like working with Christopher Nolan, Ryan Coogler.
Dude went from Black Panther to Tenet to Wakanda Forever. No, shit. Creed to Black Panther to Tenet. And then fucking Oppenheimer. And now this.
Yeah, and then he's doing the Odyssey.
And now he's doing the fucking Odyssey.
Insane.
Yeah, he's going from Sinners to the Odyssey. Insane. Imagine. Yeah. I think that's another thing is like, if we were, me and Purvis were probably more educated on this, I wish we could maybe spend some time giving Ludwig his flowers because, like, you know, he is as responsible for the music in this movie popping off as it is as Ryan Coogler, if not more. Right. Mm-hmm. And one, I think, like, that's why, like, having these long-term creative partners, like, pays off, right? Like,
it pays fucking dividends, man. Yeah.
Right. It really does pay off because, like, you know, don't get me wrong. I really like a lot of the work Ludwig has done with Nolan, you know, even though, you know, I really have. But it's like, you can't show up and, like, really collaborate on this level on something like Tenet or even Oppenheimer. Yeah. Right. So, yeah, he is an absolutely giant in the industry right now, and I'm so happy to see it. But yeah,
that man deserves everything. I'm not gonna lie to you. I cannot wait for honestly the next project from like everybody in this movie.
Yeah, everyone involved, right?
Everyone
what are everyone's next projects? Right, like Coogler's is X-Files.
Well, Delroy is not doing Blade.
Yeah, dude, it sucks that he left and said the script was good. Like,
yeah, mm-hmm.
Right. It's like, but apparently, I had heard from apparently the costume designer of this movie is the lady who did the Black Panther movies.
Yeah, Ruth Carter. Yeah, legendary fucking costume designer. Yeah,
and apparently, like, she was doing the costumes for Blade. And it was set in the 30s, and like a lot of things carried over into this movie, right? And like I think,
you know, that kind of fed the rumors that Ryan like pitched Blade as a period piece. And
like that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that like
I'm really starting to believe that shit.
Right. Yeah, I'm hearing that like one of the reasons Blade is being delayed is because of the overlap with this movie, because it was supposed to be in the 1930s. You know, kind of like Jim Crow South era with like Blade. And it's like, I don't know if you could do two of these movies. Like, so yeah, I'm very interested where that movie goes. Like, I love Mahershala Ali. Like,
yeah, how can you not?
Can I keep it real? I really hate how people pretend that Wesley Snipes is far and away better than Mahershala Ali as an actor. Right?
Oh, there's
Who the
fuck are you talking to?
Everyone in my life is like,
Wesley, God.
Especially after Deadpool and Wolverine came out, everyone is like, no, Wesley, no one else could be Blade other than Wesley Snipes. And I'm like, no, Mahershala Ali is absolutely a better actor.
Leagues better. Like, and there's no disrespect to Wesley. He's a wonderful.
Yeah, Wesley's great. Like, I'm not even necessarily
the gap there between the two of them. I'm sorry. Like, no, there's no fucking way. I think this. Especially black people, we just hold Blade to such. It's on a pedestal, man. Exactly, it's such a high standard, and Wesley
it's a great two movies.
It's great, and Wesley does an amazing job in the first two movies.
Motherfuckers always.
But yeah, I'm sorry, Mahershala. Yeah, come on, dude.
Yeah, right. Now, do I think it's very realistic that this Blade movie is never going to get made, and if it does, it probably won't be as good as those Blade movies in the '90s? Sure, but like. You know, that's just.
I think what you'll hear a lot if it does eventually come out, is that Wesley he's going to have more aura as Blade than Mahershala is.
Yeah.
But that's just really just of it being a product of the MCU more than anything.
100%.
That's really all that'll be.
Okay, seeing as we've already transitioned onto Blade, do we want to like wrap up the episode because this is a Sinners review and we're on?
Yeah.
we've already started meandering into the
Your
MCU.
recommendations.
Yeah, I feel like once a movie review meanders into the MCU, that's when you have to call it,
Gotta
right?
reel it back in, eh?
Right? Maybe this one a little bit more because that's where Ryan Coogler's been. Also, after seeing this movie, it's like, man, imagine how good Ryan Coogler, because there was rumors for a long time he was going to do the next Avengers movie.
Bro.
And it's like, listen, I don't think
cool.
I don't think an Avengers
Black
movie
Panther
could
3.
ever be as good as Sinners, but it's like, man, that would have been a good movie. Like,
Yeah. But just let him do Black Panther 3. Let him work with Denzel. I'm cool with that.
yeah. Oh, he's supposed to do Black Panther 3, right?
Yes, he is. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So, Patrick, do you want to start us off with your recommendations?
Yeah, man. So forgive me, but obviously this movie put me on like a really big blues kick.
Of course.
I was kind of raised on blues music, but I've just drifted away from it over the years. And we kind of you actually mentioned both of the artists of the track that I chose earlier. So number one, I'm Your Hoochie Coochie Man by Muddy Waters.
We do round robin, so do one, and then we'll all go around.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
that was
so
it for
Hoochie
me, man.
Coochie Man by
amazing. Yes, sir.
That's a fun title. Yeah, that's a great one. Purvis, you want to
go? Sure. In honor of the topics that come up in this movie, and it naturally came up in conversation this week, I'm going to recommend BJ the Chicago Kid Church.
Hey,
that's a great one. That's excellent. All right, so I'm going to start recommending one that was also very influenced by this movie. This is apparently one of the top 3 influences Ryan Coogler says on the movie, and it's a song, and it's kind of unexpected, and it is Metallica's One, which is one of the greatest, most transcendental, epic metal songs of all time, right? And the way he describes it is like he wanted Sinners to kind of match the intensity of One, where it starts off where it starts off crazy and then it gets quiet and then it becomes insane and it feels inevitable the entire way. But something I think is very interesting is if you watch some of the interviews with Ludwig and Coogler, they talk about how Metallica actually influenced the movie beyond just like how One kind of is meant to mimic the emotional journey of the movie. A lot of the electric guitar sounds in like the last act of the movie were modeled after the guitar sounds on Master of Puppets and Justice for All. As a matter of fact, that little power chord when Remick says "Seme" is like was recreating the guitars from Metallica's sound.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So
that's a nice little tidbit right there.
Right. So and like what an unexpected pull. Like, right. Like. And I think that's the thing I like about Coogler is that he's not afraid to just like pull his influences from anywhere. So yeah, Metallica's One, easily like one of the greatest songs of all time. Absolutely a fitting pick, and it's on this Sinners playlist as well. So I'm not crazy.
I'll check that out. Yeah.
Yeah. No, listen to the song and tell me what you think because it is a doozy.
I gotcha. And the second one for me, by the Howlin' Wolf, is Smokestack Lightning.
Oh,
obviously, very, very evident. Fucking our 2 protagonist names. So yeah, I love that. Absolutely love that song.
Oh yeah. Since we are a music podcast, this second one is not about the movie.
That's fine.
I'm always on the hunt for another trap song. Boss Man D-Lo, More Chicken, absolute banger, slaps.
Amazing.
So good. It's trending on TikTok. You need to listen to it.
All right, I will. All right, my last one. It's not hip hop. It's not related to this movie at all, but it is a song that is pretty. It's almost like "Gimme Shelter" by the Rolling Stones for like millennials because it's like it shows up in a ton of like A24 movie trailers. I think it was in one of the trailers for Thunderbolts, and it has set me down like a long dark path of like dark and spooky industrial music. And I'm recommending OPR by Gefaffelstein.
Oh, that shit. Oh, my God.
Gefaffelstein. If you type in GAF into any music streaming service, it's going to be the first guy. He's relatively famous. He's worked with The Weeknd and like a bunch of other artists. But the song is just called OPR. If you hear it, it's like, oh, this is movie trailer music. This is meant for, I mean, like, it's like, he makes like instrumental industrial kind of dance music. So like obviously like it just lends itself to like a trailer more than anything with lyrics ever could. but it is just a. Do you remember when we used to go to Exit?
Yeah.
It sounds like that.
Oh, some good times. All right.
All right. But I think that's the end of our Sinners review. So if you're reading this, it's too late. I'm already out of the country. The movie has already had a second weekend where it probably went down 3% or some shit. Right? Like, but yeah, dude, like, subscribe. We haven't done that today. Dude, like, subscribe.
We haven't done that.
Patrick, do you want to plug your stuff? You're going to be featured in everything. So,
oh yeah, a little shameless little plug here. Yeah. Once again, everybody, y'all can tune in and find me on the Real Critical podcast. It's available on all major podcasting streaming places, or whatever that stuff's called. And I'll actually be uploading a Sinners review probably tomorrow, if I have the energy to edit tomorrow morning.
I feel that I have to have this edited and uploaded before I get on a plane on Thursday, and it's like, I'm not excited for that, but this is fine. This is like a relatively light lift. But
We've gotten good at no cuts.
Right, we've gotten very good at no cuts, and Jasper hooked us up with a thumbnail before we got off, so ingesting will be very easy. But yeah, no, like, subscribe, follow Patrick, follow us, tell us we suck, tell us this movie is bad, but everyone will disagree. Everyone will disagree with you. No one dislikes this movie.
I have not met or talked to a single person that dislikes this movie.
No, I have not met no one. I've not met a single person. We were talking about it at the Cubs game, and this white couple that was sitting next to me and Jaquil just like kind of looked over at us and was like, yeah, Sinners was very good. It's like, good, thank you. Like, all right, well, that is us. Check back next week, same unpaid time, same unpaid place.
Hey.